Hello and welcome to a new Scale 500 news video here on the channel, just a few days after the open day event at the headquarters of Herpa Wings, probably the biggest event of the year for Herpa Wings, where they already dropped a few hints as to what models we could expect in the coming release batches. But today they have made their official announcement for the 0910 release batch, so September, October of 2025. And what those models are, that is of course what we will take a closer look in this video, so let's dive right into it. Now, in order to save me some time in the edit and bring you the video as fast as possible, I won't be mentioning any prices throughout the video, but you can see the recommended retail prices, so the official price level set by Herpa Wings, in the graphics showing up on your screen under every model that we mention here in the video. And the very first model is really not that big of a surprise. Herpa Wings is releasing a new Airbus A340-600. Hopefully it will be much better than the last one, because the previous one was really terrible. But Herpa did actually talk about that they would release this model with more details than usual. And I mean, when we see the graphics, it surely indicates that there are more details. However, these graphics coming from Lufthansa often do have more details than the actual model that is then delivered. My recommendation here is wait until we see a sample model to see what details they have actually added to the aircraft model. One thing is what they are saying, the other thing is what they are doing. But more surprising perhaps than this Airbus A340-600 from Lufthansa is that there is a second Airbus A340-600 in this batch from Conviasa. Now, Herpa had actually already teased that there would be something coming from Conviasa. Personally, I actually did not really expect it to be the A340-600, but I think it is a pleasant surprise. I doubt that this will be a bestseller, because I don't think it will work with many people's collections, but it is for sure a refreshing breath of air to get something a little bit out of the ordinary, and the Conviasa A340-600 certainly fits that description, at least in my opinion. Will I be getting the model? Most likely not, but you should never say never. But one thing you should be aware of before you order this aircraft model is do not expect it to have the same degree of detailing as the Lufthansa A340-600. Herpa did not mention anything about more details on this model, so do not expect it. Then there is another A340 in this batch, but a 300 variant from Swiss International Airlines. They do have the tradition of having red noses to some of the aircraft during Christmas time as part of their LXmas campaign. And now we are finally getting this feature on an Herpa model. I don't think Herpa has ever released a Swiss red nose before, so this is the first time. Perhaps we will get this more also in the future, we will see. But yeah, a new A340-300 of Swiss, as long as they're still flying around in those colors. And since we are talking Christmas, yes, Herpa does have a tradition, one that I had actually pretty much forgotten about already. Blissfully ignoring the fact that Herpa, of course, every year releases a Christmas model, and this time around it will be featuring the mold of the Boeing 757-300. As you can see, the livery heavily inspired by Condor. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to offend anyone who likes these Christmas models. If you do, hey, that's great for you. I think for everybody else, this is a model very, very easily skipped. Oh, and of course, if you ask yourself, why is there a Christmas model in the September-October release batch of Herpa Wings? Well, that's of course because every model from Herpa Wings is traditionally delayed, especially the Christmas models. And for many years, Herpa didn't manage to release the Christmas models before Christmas and ended up selling them in January, February, when nobody was interested in them. I mean, hardly anyone is before either, but this way they can at least try to get the model out before Christmas. But let's quickly go back to the Lufthansa group, because Herpa is not done with that in this batch. We get a second Swiss International Airlines aircraft model, but here in the full standard livery and of the A330. So for those of you who haven't gotten any of the previous releases, here is another version. Also this one, at least in the graphics, does look like it has more printed details, but also here my advice is being cautious and waiting for the sample models to actually determine whether these models will have more detailing than what we usually get from Herpa Wings. Another Lufthansa Group aircraft model is a re-release of the Lufthansa Cargo A321. I mean, also here again, I guess for those who missed the first one, here is another chance for you to get the Lufthansa Cargo A321 P2F. And for those of you who missed some of the previous Lufthansa Cargo 777 aircraft, here is another re-release. So yeah, quite re-release heavy, this batch of Herpa Wings. And in fact, so re-release heavy that there is yet another re-release, but I think people will probably be a little bit more excited about this one. That is the next iteration of the 777F freighter in the DHL colors. DHL freighters always very popular, and of course we have seen many 757s in the past. We've had one A330. The 777 has been heavily asked for, was featured some time ago, and now we get another one. Also here it does look like a little bit more details perhaps on the aircraft model, but again, do wait till you actually see a physical aircraft model so we can see whether these details actually do appear on the aircraft models. But if this is a tendency that there will be more details on the aircraft models overall, that's a good thing for Herpa Wings. Also a good thing for Herpa Wings, keeping their word. They did announce earlier this year that there would be more Alliance livery aircraft models, specifically Star Alliance, and now we get the next one. I think the previous one was of TAP Air Portugal. Now we get a 777-200ER of United Airlines in the Star Alliance livery. Looking pretty cool. Not sure if this is a model that I will actually get, but I do think it is nice that they are trying to feature more Alliance liveries overall. And then they did also talk about the fact that there would be at least one airline from the Stan countries, so Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and so on. And indeed, it is Turkmenistan that is featured on a 777-200LR. And indeed, it is the very first time that Turkmenistan Airlines is featured in Scale 500. So this is truly a premiere in this scale. Yeah, I mean, this will probably not be the best-selling aircraft model, but it is cool that they are trying to extend their portfolio a little bit. And a nice little feature I could notice on this aircraft model is that the General Electric logo is on the engines. Hopefully this will also be on the final result when the model is released. But yeah, Turkmenistan Airlines is getting featured in Scale 500 for the very first time. Then there's a new football-inspired aircraft that is the latest Borussia Dortmund special livery of Eurowings. If I'm not mistaken, it is the identical aircraft, so the same registration code as the aircraft that featured the previous livery. Just so you are aware, if you're buying this, you will be buying the same aircraft model or the same aircraft basically again. But yeah, I mean, it is a football-related livery. If you like the club, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But Herpa is continuing with the Eurowings partnership and therefore also bringing these football liveries. Now this release batch does quite heavily feature the Airbus A240, both in scales 200 and even 400 with various airline liveries, but also scale 500 does feature the A220 in form of the Bulgaria Air A220-100. Now Herpa had already alluded to the fact that there would be something from Bulgaria Air coming, but I'm very, very happy that they are starting off with the A220-100, because considering Herpa's track record, if they had started with the A220-300, it would be very unlikely that they would also feature the 100. Now they're starting with the 100, which I think is a great move, and it gives us the opportunity to perhaps also later get the 300 variant from Bulgaria Air. But another airline where we already do get the 300 variant, well, that is ČSA, the Czech airline. Honestly speaking, considering the size of the airline and the fact that it actually technically doesn't exist anymore, we've had way too many ČSA aircraft models in Scale 500, but of course it is still a very popular airline. But they have ordered a bunch of A220s and they are being delivered in the ČSA livery. So yeah, for those who still cling on to the memories of ČSA, here's another model for you in Scale 500. And for those clinging on to memories, well, there are some historic aircraft models in this release batch as well, in form of the Caravelle that is featured twice in this batch. Firstly, in the historic livery of TAP Air Portugal, and then also in the historic livery of LTU, the now defunct German charter airline. And technically, I guess we could call it also another historic aircraft, although it is both historic and current. It is a 757-200 of Iceland Air that has, however, been chartered and currently is flying around in the historic Pan Am colors. Now, obviously, a quite exciting aircraft, I guess. I don't think this is a model that I will be buying, but it does, of course, combine many passions. So the historic side, the current day side, and it is, to be fair, a pretty cool story that there is a 757 flying around in Pan Am colors again. This is a model that Herpa is featuring in Scale 500. Rather unusual for them, but they do have, of course, very good connections with Iceland Air, and they do also seem to have good connections to the rights holders of Pan Am, given that, for example, for the Herpa Open Days had a Concorde Fantasy Pan Am model. So yeah, the 757 featured in the Pan Am colors, definitely something different nowadays. So if this is your cup of tea, this is your opportunity to grab a model of that. So those were the models that Herpa intends to release in 09, 10, so September, October. A bit of a mixed batch, I would say. Definitely some highlights, but also some models that we could easily skip over. Yeah, for me, honestly speaking, not so much to be excited about here. I don't think this is the strongest batch that I've had in a long time. And of course, they will be released just around the time where either model is entering the market. So there will definitely be more competition this time around. And this might be something that is also impacting sales numbers for Herpa Wings, especially if they can't reduce their prices, because they are still way too high. But we will see how things go, and also, of course, if they actually manage to release any of these models on time, which we are hopeful for, but skeptical about as well. So that's the latest news coming from Herpa Wings regarding their next release batch for September and October. But what are your thoughts on this batch? Do you like it? Is there something missing? What do you say about the prices? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below, and let's have a discussion down there. Of course, if you like this type of content, you're always welcome to leave a like. If you're new around here, you're most welcome to hit subscribe. And with that, thanks so much for watching. Hope to see you soon again. I'm checking out, and bye.